Today we're talking about a topic which I am very passionate about, as I believe it could genuinely create generational wealth opportunities for anyone who gets in early enough. This is the battery revolution and the push for clean energy, which is being driven by electric vehicles. So today I want to share with you how you as an investor can take advantage of this and possibly change your life. How's it going, guys? Ryan here and welcome back to another investing video, and today we're talking about a topic, as I mentioned, that I'm very passionate about, and it's the battery revolution. And the battery revolution really encompasses the idea that the world is going electric. We're moving away from things such as fossil fuels, and this is being driven by things such as electric vehicles and of course government mandates as well. What we are looking at this point in time is a potential generational or once in a generation opportunity for investors. And no, you aren't too late to get involved now, as things are really only just starting to kick off. And from what we've seen over the past few years, the demand for these battery metals or these renewables are really increasing, and supply simply just is not able to keep up. So you as an investor still right now have an opportunity to take advantage of stocks in these various industries. So today we're basically going to explore what those various sectors or these industries are and how you can pick the right ones in order to make a profit. To kick things off, I wanted to get really specific, and specifically we're today looking at electric vehicles and the lithium ion batteries that are needed in order for them to run. And you can see here, these are the main materials that are required for these batteries. So you've got graphite, nickel, aluminium, copper, lithium, cobalt, and manganese. And you can see from this chart, which was posted by Bloomberg, the expected demand from 2015 for these materials for electric vehicles all the way through to 2030. And you can see that the chart is showing that this is an exponential increase and demand is going to soar. What surprises most people when they see this chart is lithium is not the key component in producing these materials. In fact, we have others such as copper, such as graphite, and other materials which are larger portions of these batteries. So this presents quite a unique opportunity. We're not just purely looking at lithium stocks here. We're looking across the board at what is classed as battery metals. And these metals are already being used for many different applications around the world at the moment. But given the insane rate at which we're seeing demand levels increase for electric vehicles alone, let alone when we consider things such as power tools or renewable sources of energy, you can see how supply quickly is dwindling due to just the sheer demand that is currently happening. And of course, as you saw on that graph, the forecasted demand that we are going to see. This is another fantastic visual that illustrates that point exactly. You can see that all these different materials go into producing an electric vehicle battery, and you can see by far the largest component is actually graphite, and you need 52 kilograms of that alone in order to produce one of these batteries. Lithium, on the other hand, you only require 6 kilos, and you can see, as I mentioned previously, there are many other materials which make up significantly larger portions of these batteries themselves. Now, this is just specifically looking at electric vehicles. We haven't even considered other applications that require A, lithium ion batteries, or B, just these raw materials for other things that we currently already use. The demand for these materials is so high that supply, even at this point in time, cannot keep up. If you look at current lithium producers, what you'll see is they are even having auctions where the highest bidder can purchase their shipments of lithium. That in itself is just insane. And when you start to dig a little deeper and look at markets such as the copper market, you'll realize that the amount of supply that's currently existing in the world is minimal. And in fact, with copper specifically, what you'll find is there have been little to no discoveries over the past decade of major copper deposits. And what you're seeing these miners are having to do is reduce their cutoff grades increase their processing in order to provide material to their existing clients. Immediately you'll start to realize a really good investment moving forward would be in the miners of these materials. But this isn't the only area where you as an investor can take an opportunity to make some money. This diagram that's currently on the screen illustrates the battery value chain, and you can see it's split into three distinct sections. Firstly, you've got upstream, which is the mining processes that we actually were talking about at the start, and just the pure demand for the raw materials itself. You've then got the midstream, and this is where basically the processing comes into play. So you've got to refine the materials, you've got to convert them into, I suppose, different materials which have a combination of various different elements within them. And then you've got the downstream section, which is really the manufacturing section. So you can see cell manufacturing, battery pack assembly, integration, service and maintenance. So after we've produced these batteries, we need to maintain them. Then of course, end of life. So reuse and recycling of these batteries. Every single one of these different categories provides unique opportunities for investors, and we're not talking just like investment bankers, we're talking mum and dad investors to create lots and lots of wealth. And the reason for this is because it is still such a new industry. Whilst yes, you'll go out on the street and you might see, a few Teslas every single day, over the next decade or so, this will become the new normal. The short-term investment opportunity is clearly with those mining companies which are producing these materials or are soon to be producing these materials. But as we move 5 to 10 years down the track, what you'll see is prices will begin to stabilize and reduce for a number of reasons. This is A, because more suppliers of these raw materials will come into play, and secondly, the processes used in order to create these batteries will improve, and that probably means less of these raw materials will be required in order to produce each individual battery. We're also seeing other sources of demand which are going to increase significantly moving forward. And the reason for this is because we have governments and we even have car manufacturers putting targets on the number of electric vehicles they'll be producing, and some situations entire fleets and companies will start only producing electric vehicles from certain dates. We're seeing this as early as 2025. So that is, in the grand scheme of things, not far away. We're talking 2.5 to 3 years away, where we'll see entire manufacturers specifically focus on electric vehicles. As well, we're seeing governments put in place mandates that you cannot purchase or use vehicles which use typical, fuel. It has to be an electric vehicle from new. So you're going to start to see a short but sharp shift towards these electric vehicles within the next few decades. Now, whilst this in itself is going to be a bit more of a longer process, getting in early is where you're going to find the most opportunities are made. To really take advantage of this whole situation, what you want to look for is a company which has an integrated supply chain. So a great example of this would be a company which not only mines but also processes and produces their own batteries. And this is something we're going to start to see emerging over the next few years, as of course these industries start to develop more and people start to understand the opportunity that is at play. The key here will be reducing the costs throughout the supply chains as much as possible. So if you've got, your tentacles in every single element of the supply chain, that means you have control of it and can reduce those costs. So what you'll start to see over the next few years is companies basically integrating themselves into both the upstream, downstream and midstream elements of these battery supply chains. This is a situation which I like to call a perfect storm, and it's purely due to the fact that supply simply cannot keep up with demand, and that creates massive opportunities for investors out there. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, this in my opinion is one of those once in a generation opportunities where we're seeing literal changes throughout the entire world and how the world runs. So it is a fantastic opportunity to start to look into and get involved with early so you can reap the rewards as much as possible. That wraps up today's video, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation down in the comment section below. In my opinion, I think it is something that could change so many lives if you get in at the right time. And in my opinion, the right time to start looking at getting in that is now. And if you're already involved, congratulations, you have beaten the crowd. When this stuff starts to become a bit more mainstream, that's when we'll see demand obviously start to, I'd say, reduce when it comes to opportunities. So you're going to really want to be looking at this now and considering the potential opportunities, and even more so looking ahead to what could happen over the next 5 to 10 years to get in early and take advantage of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, as I mentioned, down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this sort of content, hit subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. I'll leave it there for today, guys. I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you next time. Cheers.